Hello everybody and welcome again. This is your host Harshit Sinha, continuing the previous presentation on enactment of rules and regulation for EPR in India, where today we will cover the remaining portion of EPR rules and regulation of plastic waste, followed by e-waste rule, battery waste management rule, hazardous waste management rules, and hazardous and other wastes, that is management and transboundary movement rules. Let us start with part 2 of the current topic, the Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rules 2024, notified on March 14, 2024, introduced significant provisions concerning biodegradable plastics in India's regulatory framework. This amendment aimed to address the environmental challenges posed by conventional plastics by promoting the use of biodegradable alternatives and ensuring their effective management. Key provisions of the 2024 Amendment 1. Definition and standards for biodegradable plastics. The amendment provided a clear definition of biodegradable plastics, specifying that these materials must decompose naturally into harmless substances under environmental conditions. It mandated that all biodegradable plastics conform to the standards set by the Bureau of Indian Standards. 2. Certification and registration requirements. Manufacturers and importers of biodegradable plastics are required to obtain certification from accredited laboratories confirming compliance with BIS standards. Additionally, they must register with the Central Pollution Control Board, providing detailed information about their products, including composition and degradation properties. 3. Labeling and marking guidelines. To facilitate consumer awareness and proper disposal, the amendment stipulated that all biodegradable plastic products must be clearly labeled. The labeling should include the term biodegradable and display the certification number, ensuring transparency and aiding in the segregation of waste. 4. Restrictions on specific applications. Recognizing that not all biodegradable plastics are suitable for every application, the amendment imposed restrictions on their use in certain contexts, especially where complete degradation might not occur due to environmental conditions. For instance, biodegradable plastics are prohibited in marine applications to prevent potential harm to aquatic ecosystems. 5. Extended Producer Responsibility (EPR) integration. The amendment integrated biodegradable plastics into the existing extended producer responsibility framework. Producers, importers, and brand owners are now accountable for the entire life cycle of biodegradable plastic products, ensuring their collection, transportation, processing, and safe disposal. This move emphasizes the shared responsibility in managing plastic waste and encourages the development of sustainable practices. 6. Promotion of research and development. To foster innovation, the government announced incentives for research and development in the field of biodegradable plastics. This includes support for developing new materials, improving existing technologies, and finding cost-effective methods for large-scale production. The goal is to make biodegradable alternatives more accessible and affordable, reducing reliance on conventional plastics. 7. Implications and challenges. The inclusion of biodegradable plastics in the Plastic Waste Management Rules signifies a proactive approach to environmental conservation. By setting clear standards and responsibilities, the amendment aims to reduce plastic pollution and promote the use of eco-friendly materials. However, infrastructure development, establishing facilities capable of processing biodegradable plastics is crucial. Without proper composting or recycling infrastructure, these materials might end up in landfills, negating their environmental benefits. B. Public awareness. Educating consumers about the benefits and proper disposal methods of biodegradable plastics is essential to ensure their effective use and to prevent contamination of recycling streams. C. Economic considerations. The production cost of biodegradable plastics is currently higher than that of conventional plastics. Incentives and subsidies may be necessary to encourage manufacturers to adopt biodegradable alternatives and to make them more competitive in the market. On December 6, 2024, India's Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change released the draft Environment Protection Extended Producer Responsibility for Packaging made from paper, glass and metal as well as Sanitary Products Rules 2024. This initiative aims to enhance waste management by holding producers, importers, and brand owners (PIBOs) accountable for the entire life cycle of their products, thereby promoting environmental sustainability and a circular economy. 1. Scope and applicability. The draft rules encompass packaging materials made from paper, glass, and metal, excluding non-ferrous metals covered under the Hazardous Waste Management Rules of 2016. Additionally, they address sanitary products including diapers and sanitary napkins. Notably, plastic packaging continues to be regulated under the existing Plastic Waste Management Rules of 2016. The rules apply to all PIBOs operating within India, with specific obligations based on their operational scale and geographic reach. 2. Registration and compliance. PIBOs are mandated to register through a centralized online portal managed by the Central Pollution Control Board. Entities operating in 1 or 2 states must register with the respective state pollution control boards, while those in more than 2 states register directly with the CPCB. This registration process ensures a standardized approach to monitoring and compliance across the country. 3. Extended Producer Responsibility (EPR) targets. The draft rules set forth specific recycling targets for producers, importers, and brand owners, aiming to progressively increase the recycling rates of packaging materials is 70% during 2, 0, 26, 27, 85% during 2, 0, 27, 28, and 100% during 2, 0, 28, 29. Further, for sanitary products, the targets are 60% during 2, 0, 26, 27, 70% for 2, 0, 27, 28, 80% for 2, 0, 28, 29, 100% during 2, 0, 29, 30 onwards. These targets compel producers, importers, and brand owners to establish effective collection, recycling, and disposal mechanisms for post-consumer waste associated with their products, incorporation of recycled content. To promote the use of recycled materials, the rules specify minimum recycled content requirements for packaging for paper. 40% recycled content in 2026-27, increasing to 70% by 2029-30 for glass. 50% recycled content in 2026-7, reaching 80% by 2026-7, reaching 80% by 2029-30, and for metal, 20% recycled content in 202552, 6 to 7, rising to 50% by 2029-30. These measures aim to reduce reliance on virgin materials, conserve natural resources, and encourage the development of sustainable packaging solutions. Virtual conservatism for non-compliance. The draft rules introduced an environmental compensation principle. People failing to meet their EPR targets are liable to pay compensation, with the amount and guidelines for imposition and collection to be determined by the CPCB. However, if the obligated entities fulfill their pending EPR obligations within a specified time frame, a portion of the EC may be refunded. Within 1 year, around 75% refund. Within 2 years, 60% refund, and within 3 years, 40% refund. This approach incentivizes timely compliance and ensures that environmental responsibilities are met. Integration of informal waste sectors. Recognizing the vital role of the informal waste sector in India's recycling landscape, the draft rules encourage the inclusion of waste pickers and informal recyclers into formal waste management systems. This integration aims to enhance the efficiency of waste collection and recycling processes while providing socio-economic benefits to those involved in the informal sector. Implementation timeline and feedback. The draft rules are slated for implementation starting April 1, 2026. Stakeholders and the public are invited to provide feedback within 60 days of the draft's publication, ensuring that diverse perspectives are considered before finalization. The E-Waste Rules 2022, notified by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change on November 2, 2022, introduced a comprehensive framework for extended producer responsibility (EPR) in managing electronic waste, e-waste. These rules replaced the E-Waste Management Rules 2016 and came into effect on April 1, 2023. The primary objective of these rules was to streamline e-waste management, improve compliance monitoring, promote circular economy principles, and ensure scientific disposal of e-waste. The inclusion of a centralized online EPR framework, stricter compliance requirements, and clear recycling targets marked a significant shift in India's e-waste management approach. Key highlights of EPR under e-waste management applicability and scope. The EPR framework applies to producers, manufacturers, importers, and recyclers of electrical and electronic equipment. The rules cover a wider range of e-waste, including consumer electronics, IT equipment, medical devices, and household appliances. Bulk consumers, such as government offices, educational institutions, and industries, are also responsible for ensuring proper disposal of the e-waste through authorized recyclers. 2. Centralized online EPR portal. The government introduced a centralized EPR portal managed by the Central Pollution Control Board. Producers, importers, and recyclers must register on the portal and submit annual compliance reports. The portal allows real-time tracking of e-waste collection, processing, and disposal, ensuring transparency and accountability. Treat EPR obligations for producers and importers. Producers and importers are responsible for meeting annual collection targets based on their past sales. They must ensure that end-of products are collected, transported, and processed through authorized recyclers. EPR obligations can be fulfilled through setting up collection centers or take-back schemes, partnering with authorized recyclers, and using producer responsibility organizations, PROS, for mandatory recycling and refurbishment. The rules promote scientific recycling and refurbishment of electronic waste. Recyclers are required to process e-waste in environmentally friendly ways and submit data on recovered materials. Refurbishers are encouraged to repair and extend the life of electronic products, reducing overall waste generation. 5. EPR credit system and trading mechanism. A new EPR credit system allows producers exceeding their recycling targets to earn credits which they can sell to other companies that fall short of their EPR obligations. This system provides financial incentives for better waste collection and processing practices. 6. Restrictions on unregistered entities. Only Central and State Pollution Control Board, registered recyclers, and refurbishers are allowed to handle e-waste. This aims to curb polluting practices such as acid leaching and open burning, which harm both human health and the environment. 7. Penalties for non-compliance. Non-compliance with EPR obligations attracts environmental compensation fees determined by CPCB. Repeated violations may lead to cancellation of registration, production bans, and legal action under environmental laws. 8. Encouragement of circular economy. The rules align with the circular economy approach, encouraging reuse, recycling, and material recovery from discarded electronics. Companies are encouraged to use recycled materials in new products to reduce dependency on virgin resources. 9. Challenges and future outlook. While the EPR framework under the E-Waste Rules 2022 represents a progressive step towards sustainable e-waste management, certain challenges remain. A. Lack of awareness among consumers and small-scale businesses about responsible e-waste disposal. B. Limited recycling infrastructure, especially in smaller cities and rural areas. C. High costs of e-waste collection and processing, which may burden smaller producers and recyclers. D. Informal sector integration, as a large portion of India's e-waste is still handled by informal recyclers. For successful implementation, strong enforcement mechanisms, public awareness campaigns, and investment in recycling technology are crucial. The strict EPR targets and compliance monitoring through the centralized portal are expected to drive better e-waste management practices in India, reducing environmental pollution and promoting resource efficiency. The E-Waste Rules 2023 Honest Amendment, notified on January 30, 2023 introduced refinements to the Extended Producer Responsibility (EPR) framework established under the E-Waste Management Rules 2022. These amendments aimed to enhance compliance mechanisms, streamline processes, and strengthen the accountability of producers, importers, and recyclers in handling electronic waste. Key highlights of the Amendment 1: enhanced registration and reporting. The amendment mandated stricter registration requirement for producers, importers, and brand owners, PIBOs, recyclers, and refurbishers through the Central Pollution Control Board, CPCB, online EPR portal. Producers are required to submit detailed annual compliance reports, ensuring better monitoring of EPR fulfillment. 2. Clarification on EPR targets. The amendment refined collection and recycling targets for e-waste, ensuring a progressive increase in compliance over the years. It provided a structured mechanism for credit trading, allowing companies exceeding their targets to sell excess credits to those unable to meet their obligations. 3. Stronger penalties and compliance mechanisms. Non-compliance with EPR obligations now attracts higher environmental compensation penalties. The CPCB has been given greater authority to audit compliance reports and take enforcement actions. By strengthening the implementation of EPR obligations, this amendment promotes responsible e-waste management, improves recycling efficiency, and supports India's transition to a circular economy. The E-Waste Rules 232 amendment was introduced key modifications to the Extended Producer Responsibility Framework to enhance the efficiency, accountability, and transparency of e-waste management in India. This amendment built upon the existing E-Waste Rules 2022, refining regulatory provisions to ensure better compliance by producers, importers, brand owners, PIBO, recyclers, and refurbishers. The primary goal of the amendment was to streamline EPR implementation, improve enforcement mechanisms, and support India's transition towards a circular economy. Key highlights of the second amendment to EPR under E-Waste Rules. 2.0.231. Strengthening compliance through the centralized EPR portal, the amendment mandated real-time data submission on e-waste collection, processing, and disposal through the centralized EPR portal managed by the Central Pollution Control Board. Producers, recyclers, and refurbishers are now required to upload quarterly compliance reports, replacing the earlier annual submission system, ensuring frequent monitoring and faster corrective actions. This move significantly reduces the risk of fraudulent reporting and illegal waste handling, enhancing accountability across the e-waste value chain. 2. Revised EPR targets and credit-based trading system. Producers and importers now have revised e-waste collection and recycling targets, ensuring a more structured and achievable compliance trajectory while maintaining environmental goals. The amendment further refined the EPR credit trading system, allowing companies that exceed their recycling targets to earn and trade credits with those falling short of their obligations. This market-based mechanism incentivizes better waste management practices and ensures that even small producers can meet their compliance requirements effectively. 3. Stricter penalties for non-compliance. To deter non-compliance, the amendment increased environmental compensation penalties for companies failing to meet their EPR obligations. Repeated violations can result in the suspension or cancellation of CPCB registration, restricting offenders from manufacturing, importing, or selling electronic products in India. The amendment aligns with the polluter pays principle, ensuring that those contributing to e-waste pollution are held financially accountable. 4. Encouraging sustainable recycling and refurbishment practices. The amendment promotes the use of environmentally friendly technologies in e-waste recycling, reducing hazardous emissions and improving material recovery efficiency. Pressure. Authorized refurbishers are encouraged to extend the life cycle of electronic products, promoting a circular economy by increasing reuse and reducing overall waste generation. Producers are required to integrate higher percentages of recycled materials into new products, reducing dependence on virgin raw materials and minimizing resource depletion. 5. Curbing informal sector involvement. The amendment reinforced the need for strict enforcement against informal e-waste processing, which often involves unsafe practices such as acid leaching and open burning, leading to severe environmental and health hazards. Only authorized recyclers and refurbishers registered with CPCB are allowed to handle e-waste, ensuring safe and sustainable processing. Six challenges and future prospects. While the second amendment to the E-Waste Management Rules 2023 strengthens the EPR framework, certain challenges remain. A. Awareness and compliance gaps. Many small and medium-scale producers lack awareness about EPR obligations and compliance requirements. B. Limited recycling infrastructure. Especially recycling infrastructure in India remains insufficient, especially in smaller towns and rural areas. C. High cost of compliance. Small-scale producers and recyclers face financial and logistical challenges in meeting EPR targets. D. Integration of the informal sector. A large portion of India's e-waste is still processed by informal recyclers, making their inclusion in the formal framework crucial for effective waste management. The E-Waste Rules 2023 Three-Thread Amendment, notified on March 8, 2024, introduced crucial modifications to the Extended Producer Responsibility (EPR) framework in India. This amendment aimed to enhance compliance mechanisms, streamline reporting procedures, and strengthen the accountability of stakeholders involved in the management of electronic waste, e-waste. The amendment built upon previous revisions under the E-Waste Management Rules 2022 and its subsequent amendments in 2023, addressing gaps in registration, target fulfillment, credit trading, and penalties. With a growing emphasis on a circular economy and sustainable resource use, this amendment refined regulatory provisions to ensure a more structured, transparent, and effective e-waste management system. Key highlights of the third amendment to EPR under E-Waste Rules 20231. Strengthen EPR registration and compliance monitoring. The amendment reinforced real-time tracking of e-waste collection, processing, and disposal through the centralized EPR portal, ensuring transparency and reducing non-compliance risks. Quarterly compliance reports became mandatory, replacing annual submissions, allowing for better monitoring and corrective action in case of lapses. Mandatory audits and stricter documentation requirements for producers, importers, and brand owners, PIBOs, recyclers, and refurbishers were introduced to prevent fraudulent reporting. 2. Adjusted EPR targets and credit-based trading system. The amendment revised e-waste collection and recycling targets, making them more practical while maintaining sustainability goals. The EPR credit trading mechanism was further refined, allowing companies exceeding recycling targets to serve surplus credits to those struggling to meet compliance. A more structured approach to verifying EPR credits was introduced, ensuring fair trading and preventing misuse of the system. 3. Introduction of stricter penalties for non-compliance. To deter non-compliance, the amendment increased financial penalties and environmental compensation for entities failing to meet EPR targets. Violators now face suspension or cancellation of CPCB registration, restricting their ability to operate in the electronic goods market. The amendment reinforced the polluter pays principle, ensuring that non-compliant entities bear the financial burden of their environmental impact. 4. Promoting sustainable e-waste recycling and refurbishment. The amendment mandated higher recovery and reuse of valuable materials from e-waste, encouraging recyclers to adopt environmentally friendly technologies. Producers are required to incorporate a greater percentage of recycled materials into new products, supporting the transition toward a circular economy. Registered refurbishers were given greater incentives to extend the life cycle of electronic products, reducing e-waste generation. 5. Formalizing e-waste management and reducing informal sector involvement. The amendment reinforced the requirement that only CPCB registered recyclers and refurbishers handle e-waste, phasing out unsafe practices by informal e-waste handlers. Strengthened measures to integrate informal waste collectors into the formal system, ensuring safer working conditions and improved e-waste processing efficiency. 6 challenges and future prospects. Despite the improvements, some challenges remain in implementing the revised EPR framework effectively. A. Lack of awareness and technical knowledge. Many small and medium-scale producers and recyclers struggle with understanding and fulfilling EPR obligations. B. Limited recycling infrastructure. India's e-waste recycling capacity remains inadequate, especially outside major cities. C. Integration of the informal sector. A significant portion of India's e-waste is still handled illegally or informally, necessitating stronger policies to bring these players into the regulated system. D. High compliance costs. Small businesses face financial constraints in meeting EPR targets and upgrading recycling technology. The 8th Amendment rules, notified on September 18, 2023, introduced Extended Producer Responsibility (EPR) for used oil, marking a significant step in India's waste management framework. These amendments aimed to enhance the collection, recycling, and environmentally responsible disposal of used oil, particularly from industrial and automotive sources. Given the hazardous nature of used oil, improper disposal leads to soil contamination, water pollution, and adverse health effects. This amendment aligns with India's broader goal of promoting a circular economy and sustainable waste management practices. Key highlights of the 8th Amendment rules on EPR for used oil. 1. Introduction of EPR obligations for used oil. The amendment mandates that producers, importers, and large-scale consumers of lubricating oil take responsibility for collection, recycling, and safe disposal of used oil. Automobile service centers, manufacturing industries, and oil refineries are required to register under the EPR framework and report their waste oil management practices. The amendment aligns with international best practices, ensuring that oil waste does not enter landfills or water bodies. 2. Establishment of a centralized monitoring system. A centralized EPR portal managed by the Central Pollution Control Board (CPCB) has been introduced for tracking the generation, collection, and processing of used oil. Producers and waste handlers are required to submit quarterly compliance reports, enhancing transparency and accountability. The real-time tracking system ensures effective monitoring of used oil recycling targets. 3-bit revised targets for used oil collection and recycling. The amendment sets specific collection and recycling targets for different stakeholders, including oil producers, importers, and large-scale industrial users. Targets are structured in a phased manner to ensure gradual but steady improvement in used oil recycling rates. Mandatory use of a percentage of recycled oil in new lubricant production promotes a closed-loop recycling system. 4. Credit trading mechanism. A credit-based trading system allows companies that exceed their used oil recycling targets to earn credits, which can be traded with other companies. This system incentivizes better waste management while providing flexibility to entities struggling with compliance. The credit mechanism helps smaller producers participate in EPR compliance without facing excessive financial burdens. 5. Stricter penalties for non-compliance. Failure to meet EPR obligations results in financial penalties, suspension of operating licenses, or legal action under environmental laws. Heavy fines are imposed on entities engaged in the illegal disposal or improper handling of used oil. The amendment reinforces the polluter pays principle, ensuring that industries bear responsibility for the environmental impact of their waste. 6. Encouragement of sustainable processing technologies. The amendment mandates eco-friendly recycling and refining processes to minimize carbon emissions and toxic waste. Producers are required to invest in advanced waste oil treatment technologies, promoting cleaner and more efficient recycling. Collaboration between oil producers, recyclers, and government agencies is encouraged to develop innovative waste management solutions. 7. Challenges and future prospects. Despite the regulatory improvements, several challenges remain. A. Limited awareness. Many industries and small businesses are unaware of their used oil disposal. Lack of recycling infrastructure. India has insufficient recycling facilities for used oil, particularly in rural and semi-urban areas. C. Informal sector dominance. A significant portion of used oil recycling is handled informally, often through unsafe and environmentally damaging practices. D. Compliance costs for small businesses. Small-scale producers and garages face financial difficulties in adopting sustainable waste oil management practices. The 8th Amendment to the Hazardous and Other Wastes Management and Transboundary Movement Rules 2022, notified on July 21, 2022, introduced Extended Producer Responsibility (EPR) for waste tires in India. This amendment was a crucial step towards sustainable tire waste management, addressing concerns related to environmental pollution, illegal dumping, and unregulated recycling. With India being one of the largest producers and consumers of tires, the generation of waste tires is a major environmental concern. Improper disposal leads to soil and water contamination, fire hazards, and air pollution, particularly from illegal tire burning in brick kilns and unregulated pyrolysis plants. The EPR framework under this amendment ensures structured collection, recycling, and environmentally safe disposal of waste tires, promoting a circular economy. Key highlights of the 8th Amendment on EPR for waste tires. 1. EPR obligations for producers and importers. The amendment mandates that tire manufacturers, importers, and recyclers take responsibility for collecting and processing end-of-life tires in an environmentally sound manner. Producers and importers must register with the Central Pollution Control Board (CPCB) to ensure transparency in waste tire management. EPR targets are assigned based on the production and import volume of tires, requiring companies to meet specific collection and recycling quotas. 2. Introduction of a centralized EPR portal. The amendment introduces a centralized EPR portal managed by the CPCB for tracking waste tire generation, collection. The portal enhances real-time tracking and accountability, reducing the chances of illegal tire dumping or burning. 3. Revised recycling targets and credit training mechanism. The amendment establishes progressive recycling targets, encouraging producers to increase the percentage of waste tires recycled over time. A credit-based trading system is introduced, allowing entities exceeding their EPR targets to sell surplus credits to others struggling with compliance. The system provides flexibility while incentivizing higher recycling rates and responsible disposal practices. 4. Done on illegal tire burning and unregulated pyrolysis plants. The amendment strictly prohibits burning of waste tires in brick kilns, open spaces, or other unauthorized facilities, reducing air pollution and toxic emissions. It mandates the closure of unregulated. Only CPCB registered recyclers using approved technologies are permitted to process waste tires. 5. Strict penalties for non-compliance. Failure to meet EPR targets results in monetary fines, suspension of business operations, or cancellation of CPCB registration. Companies found engaging in illegal dumping, unauthorized recycling, or tire burning face severe legal consequences. The amendment strengthens the polluter pays principle, ensuring that entities bear the cost of their environmental impact. 6. Promotion of sustainable recycling technologies. The amendment encourages the use of eco-friendly recycling technologies, such as crimping and shredding of tires for use in road construction and other applications. Devulcanization and reclaimed rubber processes to recover valuable materials and pyrolysis in regulated units to extract useful byproducts like fuel oil and carbon black. Producers are required to integrate a percentage of recycled materials into new tires, supporting the circular economy model. 7. Challenges and future prospects. Despite the improvements brought by the amendment, some challenges remain. A. Lack of awareness. Many small and medium tire producers are unaware of their EPR obligations and struggle with compliance. B. Limited recycling infrastructure. India's tire recycling facilities remain insufficient, particularly outside major industrial hubs. C. High compliance costs. Small businesses find it financially challenging to set up or transition to sustainable recycling methods. D. Integration of the informal sector. a large percentage of waste tires are still handled by unregulated informal operators, making their integration into the formal system a key challenge. The Hazardous and Other Waste Management and Transboundary Movement Ninth Amendment Rules 2024 introduced significant enhancements to the Extended Producer Responsibility (EPR) framework for waste tires in India. Building upon the foundations laid by the 8th Amendment in 2022, this amendment aims to further streamline waste tire management, promote sustainable recycling practices, and strengthen compliance mechanisms to mitigate environmental hazards associated with improper tire disposal. Key highlights of the 9th Amendment rules on EPR for waste tires: 1. Enhanced EPR targets and timelines. A. Progressive increase in recycling obligations. Producers and importers of tires are now mandated to achieve a 100% recycling target of the quantity of new tires manufactured or imported based on the production data from 2 years prior, year Y2. This aligns with the phased approach initiated in previous amendments, ensuring a gradual escalation of recycling responsibilities. B. Inclusion of new market entrants. Entities commencing production or importation post Operation 1 2022 are granted a 2-year preparatory period. Their EPR obligations commence in the 3rd year, requiring them to recycle 100% of the tires manufactured or imported in the year A2 to D. Strengthen monitoring and reporting mechanisms. A. Centralized EPR portal integration. The amendment emphasizes the utilization of the centralized EPR portal managed by the Central Pollution Control Board's CPCB. All stakeholders, including producers, importers, recyclers, and retraders, must register and regularly update data on tire quarterly compliance reporting. To enhance transparency and facilitate timely interventions, the amendment mandates the submission of quarterly compliance reports. This replaces the previous annual reporting system, allowing for more dynamic monitoring and enforcement. 3. Introduction of environmental compensation for non-compliance is penalty framework. Recognizing the need for stringent deterrence against non-compliance, the amendment introduces an environmental compensation mechanism. Producers failing to meet their EPR targets are subject to penalties calculated based on the shortfall in recycling. Reports indicate that fines may amount to PBR 8.4 per kilogram of unaccounted waste tires. B. Escalation of penalties for repeated offenses. To discourage habitual non-compliance, the amendment outlines an escalating penalty structure for repeated violations, including potential suspension of operations and revocation of licenses. 4. Promotion of sustainable recycling technologies. A. Accreditation of recyclers. The amendment mandates that only recyclers employing environmentally sound technologies and processes receive accreditation from the CPCB. This ensures that recycling activities do not inadvertently cause environmental harm. B. Incentives for advanced recycling methods. Producers and recyclers adopting advanced technologies such as devulcanization and pyrolysis with emission controls are eligible for incentives, including extended compliance timelines and financial subsidies. 5. Prohibition of importation for pyrolysis. Ban on importing waste tires for pyrolysis. To curb environmentally detrimental practices, the amendment explicitly prohibits importing waste tires for pyrolysis oil or char production. This measure addresses concerns over unregulated pyrolysis plants contributing to pollution. 6. Challenges and future outlook. While the 9th Amendment marks a significant advancement in waste tire management, several challenges persist. Awareness and capacity building. Small and medium-sized enterprises may lack awareness or resources to fully comply with EPR obligations. Targeted outreach and capacity building programs are essential to bridge this gap. B. Infrastructure development. The existing recycling infrastructure requires expansion and technological upgrades to handle the increased volume of waste tires subject to EPR mandates. C. Integration of the informal sector. A substantial portion of tire recycling occurs in the informal sector, often employing unsafe and environmentally harmful methods. Strategies to formalize and integrate these operations are crucial for comprehensive waste management. Now, this is the end of the part 2 of the topic related to enactment of rule and regulation for extended producer responsibility in India, where today we covered briefly topics related to the Plastic Waste Management Rules 2024, notified on March 14, 2024, draft environment protection made from paper, glass and metal, as well as sanitary products, rules 22024, 6 December 2024, followed by e-waste rules 2223, honest amendment made on 30th January, second amendment on 25th July, and third amendment of e-waste on 8th March 2023. Further, we explained about Extended Producer Responsibility (EPR) for used oil, 8 Amendment Rules held on 18 September 2023, Extended Producer Responsibility (EPR) for Tyres under the Hazardous and Other Wastes Management and Transboundary Movement for 8 Amendment Rules 2022, dated 21st July 2022, and in last we narrated about the Hazards and Other Wastes Management and Transboundary Movement 9th Amendment Rules 2024, notified on March 12, 2024. Well, this is not the end of the discussion, as we strive to bring some interesting facts relating this topic. So stay tuned till next week before we dive into more facts on mandatory regulation requirement for the professional organization for execution of EPR in India. Till then, we wish you stay safe and stay healthy.